Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our reaction and review for The Handmaid's Tale, Season 6, Episode 9. This is the penultimate episode of the story. This is where we would expect everything to come to a head. Did it, or did we just all go, "Woo"?
Yeah, okay, so everybody just put on your hard hats for this video if you really enjoyed this episode, because for me, this was the weakest episode of the entire season, which was really surprising after being backed up on one of the best episodes of this season. I was shocked at how slow this was, how much nothing happened in this until like the very final minutes. And even that, it felt like, we lost two major characters basically off screen. Like, this felt like I got taken on a trip to nowhere.
Okay, here's obviously spoilers ahead. I'm coming into this episode feeling all sorts of mixed emotions. I do think the prevailing one is disappointment because there are a number of things I was wanting and hoping for. I will say the death of Commander Lawrence I thought was really well done. Like, I feel like they took out that character in a way that was very, very satisfying to me. The death of Nick, extremely disappointing. Like, I did not like how they wrapped up that story at all. They set the stage for something that I think would have been really dark and really interesting moving into a series finale. And then they didn't end up going in that direction at all. And I think there were other good moments throughout this episode, but I think what does knock it down a peg is just that there are a lot of coincidences. There are a lot of things that I sort of look at it and be like, really? That's okay. It's okay for June to stroll on in here next to the plane, no disguise. It's like, I'm trying to suspend some disbelief. I feel like I'm typically pretty good at that, and that, I'm not going to be too hard on a show, but there was a lot of it in this episode.
There was way too much of it in this episode. It almost felt like Gilead has 6 people in it, and there's just not enough people. There's no one guarding this plane that is taking the remaining high commanders to go meet with the council, the most important plane at this point in Gilead. June, no mask, no covering, can just roll up in the car. Nobody's watching this plane. Like, it just was so unbelievable. I had a very hard time suspending disbelief on that, suspending disbelief on Rita not being up there with everybody else that was, part of the rebellion. They knew that the cake was laced with like this sleeping agent. Who made the cake? It's Rita. Rita's not up there. Why? How did that happen? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I know you have to suspend some disbelief with this show, but the show is also supposed to be set in reality. And the reality of Gilead is that they've got eyes, they've got guards, everyone's going to be protecting, who is left. No one at this plane. I just can't buy it. It didn't work.
Okay, I'm gonna say this, and hopefully it's taken the right way, because I am obviously rooting for June and the other handmaids, and I'm rooting for
Yes.
all the good people to end up winning. But I think in order for a win to feel satisfying, there does need to be some losses. And last week we compared this to to Empire Strikes Back. Star Wars. That's like the darkness before the dawn.
Mhm.
And it doesn't actually feel like there was that much darkness. There was a lot of winning, but there wasn't a lot of loss. And I think that would have made the ending a lot more effective if this episode was a little bit darker and a little bit more tragic than it ended up being. And I'm not rooting for trauma. I'm not rooting for terribleness. It's just we needed some of that to offset the good.
Yeah, it felt like the analogy you made last week that, last week's episode is Star Wars A New Hope. This was going to be The Empire Strikes Back. That's what it felt like. The synopsis was like, yeah, the Empire is coming. Everybody's going to pay. I was like, oh, okay. I don't want to see anybody die, but I went into it very, very tense. And then there's the whole like public scene with everybody, 0 deaths. Okay, we all got away with it. It was really weird. Like, it just didn't feel right.
Okay, well, we have so much more to break down on all of this, the highs, the lows, the weird decisions of this episode. But before we go forward into it, be sure to hit that subscribe button, because we know the series finale is coming and the Testaments is coming after that. No spoilers. We haven't read any of the source material, but we're going to be here breaking all of that down. So be sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, stick around because Nine Perfect Strangers is also premiering this week on Hulu. It's a very good week to have Hulu. We're really excited about that. It's a twisted, psychological Nicole Kidman show. It is very much worth watching.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed to our channel. It really helps us out. And speaking of helping us out, if you want to go over to our Patreon, it's another great way to help support Matt and I here at the channel. Over there, we are covering Murderbot as well as Criminal Minds, new seasons. We've got reviews that go up there every single week, and it is the only place that you can get those video reviews. So thank you so much to everyone who has.
Thank you guys. We really, really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's stay on the Star Wars metaphor here for a moment because I'm about to introduce the Stormtrooper effect. And for those of you unfamiliar with this, the Stormtroopers never kill anyone on Star Wars. They are the worst shots in the history of mankind.
Are they ever?
There's just lasers pew-pewing all over the place. And that whole scene where it seemed like all the handmaids were going to be put to death. Like you, I was clenching. I was really, really intense. I was just like, okay, something bad is going to happen here. Like, I didn't actually think that June was going to die in that moment because I was like, okay, you're not going to kill June before the series finale. But I was like, somebody is going to die in that moment, whether it's one of the handmaids, whether it's Luke, who emerged after being MIA for a long period
and
of time.
Janet, not a robot.
Yeah.
Everybody's alive.
That's the thing. It's like, yeah, I want to cheer for everybody being alive, but it's also very hard to buy that we're in a situation like this where Gilead has a lot of forces around and they may not have been fully prepared. Like, I guess that's sort of the argument you can make. Oh, they weren't expecting this. But at the same time, they did still have a lot of people that were there to witness all of it. It's just surprising to me that not even that we didn't lose a main character, but that we didn't lose, a supporting character, Aunt Janet, like you called it, somebody who we don't even have a name, just like one of the extras who's a handmaid. It's like, as far as we know, we didn't lose any of them. And it's like, great, but it's also very strange for a show that has been so tragic.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting not to lose June because there is so many times that we should have lost June, or June should have been on the wall, or any of June should not be here anymore, but she always escapes because she has got the best plot armor ever and nobody can get her. And that's fine. A lot of us are rooting for June.
Of course.
We want June. Nobody wants June to die. That's not the purpose. But at the same time, if you're going to have 35 minutes of this episode building and building and building. They get caught. They're all brought down to the square. Then Aunt Lydia's down there and she's catching strays, even though she wasn't even there for most of it to really stop anything from happening. She was one person over a group of people. Yeah, she let them go, but they don't really know that. But they were just like blaming her for everything. And it's like, man, I was sent away. I wasn't even here for all of this planning. I didn't know what was going on. Even nothing happens to anybody. And it was just a bit like wah 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 wah, like, and same as you, I don't want any of the good guys to die or go.
No.
But kill off a red shirt, make it worth something where, 35 minutes of this episode we're being brought to this huge thing where nothing happened to anybody. Everybody got away. And Rita's not up there. I mentioned at the beginning of this video.
Yeah.
How is she not up there? Warren's like, oh yeah, we learned about the plan. It was the cake. It was in the cake by the cake maker. Rita, the cake maker. How is she not up there? She's just strolling through the crowd with a toque on, and that's like the disguise.
There's a lot of different TV shows or movies that you can throw out there as an example, but I think the best death scenes that happen on TV shows, movies, are always heroic deaths. The big...
Lawrence.
Yeah, like Lawrence, the big I'm a leaf in a wind moment. Like something where it happens, the death hits you, and it's just like, you're shocked, but at the same time, you're like, man, what a way to go out. Like there's something really awesome. Like I thought, and I've been saying about 20 characters are going to die for 8 weeks now, so bear with me on this. But I got
Lawrence, so I'll take that.
You can take the W. I'll take another L on Luke and also Janine because I have been throwing. I thought that Luke was going to die for a good chunk of this episode, and to be honest, if he had orchestrated everything at that ceremony and actually stopped it from going down, and then he ends up sacrificing himself for the sake of everyone, I would have been sad. But man, that would have been an awesome way to go. Like, we would have all been telling Luke's story for years to come. It's like, what a dude, like, what a hero. And they didn't go with that.
I thought for sure he was going to die when when June was brought down and she's looking up at him and he's looking down at her. I was like, this is the moment. He is going to die
Yeah.
right in front of her eyes. He is going to catch a stray. Something horrible is going to happen and there's going to be blood all over her face and it's going to be horrible and
Yeah.
it's going to stick with me forever. And nothing happened. It was just
No.
a nothing, nothing, nothing. Everybody's good. Yay.
Okay. I will say this. I did enjoy Aunt Lydia telling everybody off.
Oh,
It's
yes.
just, we have been waiting for Aunt Lydia to tell off the bad people for a very long time. We've been listening to her tell off the good people forever. So in that one moment, if I'm going to isolate it from everything else we didn't like, you go, Aunt Lydia. Like, I'm so proud of you. Here's the part of it I was just like, really? Was when Commander Wharton allowed June to have this moment to pray. I just sat here and I was like, why are you doing this? It's like, I know this is a part of your deal and all that, but you know at some point during this prayer, she's just going to start telling you off. This is not going to go in some sort of like really holy and sacred direction for you, dude.
Yeah, and I was really surprised that he allowed that as well, and that he didn't just be like, you had your chance. Like, we met up together when you were in your cell, you had your chance, you didn't do it, and so, that's it. We're moving on now. I'm not gonna let you speak in front of a group of people so that you can become a martyr.
Okay, I do want to ask June this. What is your secret to the amount of energy and just recovery you have to go from being almost dead to just minutes later? I don't know how much later it was, just wandering around with everybody else, seemingly no problem. Your hair's down, you've got to change your clothes, you're doing a-okay. I would be in bed for about a week. I would be just watching a bunch of comfort food episodes on repeat, trying to feel better. I would be probably 10 pounds heavier because I would have just eaten ice cream. It's like, how do you do it?
Let's talk about Lawrence. So
Okay.
I felt last week if we were going to lose anyone, it was going to be Lawrence, and it was. And it felt like they were building up to this at the beginning of the episode. He's saying goodbye to his daughter,
Yeah.
and, even with Naomi, it was kind of surprising because her whole thing has been like, give me my baby and leave, get to step in. I don't want to see you anymore. And she seems to not really know anything about her. She's just like, oh yeah, okay, I've got the paper. Okay, what else am I bringing? Oh, okay, I'll bring this book. What is she like? What chapter? I'm like, how are you this absent? It's the
Yeah.
only thing you wanted was to take Janine's child. You took the child and you don't even know what book she's reading? What are you doing with your time?
It just feels like Naomi just wanted to have the win for the sake of having the win, but once she had the win, she doesn't know what to do with herself anymore because she doesn't have people to actively gloat to all the time, I guess. But yeah, in that moment, I did have a lot of foreshadowing too with Lawrence that something was going to be happening. And I think the reason why for me, I felt that everything with Lawrence was like unbelievably satisfying is that for at least the past 3 seasons, we have wanted nothing more than Commander Lawrence to pick a side, to actually make a move, to stop being in the shadows. And he does the most courageous thing I can possibly imagine, where at first he thinks he's just going to go on there, plant the device, get away, and it's all going to be, but he knowingly gives his life to go on this plane, to take out these other commanders. You are a man. You have like iron within your bloodstream right now. I know Lawrence has done some bad things. Like, I understand all that. Redemption is in the eye of the beholder. To me, I felt like this is as close to redemption as a guy like Commander Lawrence is ever going to get.
I feel he is redeemed. He has been sitting on a fence of his own making for
Yes.
so long, but he made the right choice, the courageous choice. He sacrificed himself to kill all of these commanders, and that's where he ended up with this. And I feel that that was satisfying. However, it's sort of everything kind of just happening off screen. Like, all of a sudden Nick shows up and he's getting on the plane, and it's just like, I understand they don't have the budget to blow this up and like see all the pieces falling out of the sky or anything like that, really, but the amount of time that we spent on June's face looking up was too long. This episode was too long.
There were a lot of lingering shots, and I know that some of this has been in the DNA of The Handmaid's Tale for a while, but there is also
Not bad like this. This was so much.
there's also a certain amount of, okay, we get it. And we had a little bit of that at the start of this season too. So it's just
Yes,
like
we
we
did.
have seen this on the show before, but it is also, yeah, visuals can be effective, but so is dialogue. Like, yeah, the final shot of Lawrence getting on the plane was fairly effective, but I think
Yes.
to me, what was actually more effective was his sort of final line where he basically says that someone stronger than him can carry out the rest of the vision, because that was him sort of acknowledging, I may have had ideas that were useful, but I didn't have the courage to pull them off for a big part of my life. And it's just that, Bradley, I love you. I love this character. I love this performance. Handmaid's Tale is probably too long in the tooth to get a bunch of Emmys because they always like giving it to the new people, but I would vote for you.
Oh, Bradley's amazing. He's amazing on this. I actually just watched Get Out. He's in that as well,
Yeah.
also playing someone with privilege. So good. He's just incredible. And that was the absolute best part of a very slow episode for me. Like he's such a performer. It was great material for him. It was good to see him go out doing the right thing, getting off the fence and actually just doing the right thing.
Okay, now it's time to put on the beef hat because we have to talk.
Oh,
about
because I
Nick.
haven't had that beef out of this
Okay.
whole video.
You're getting more beef. There is a sale
All
on
right.
beef at the store. We're
Here's-
buying another case, and here we
Here's
are
the beef hat.
with Nick. I can't stand what they did to get rid of Nick on this show. And it's not, once again, I'm not rooting for Nick. Nick is the worst at this point. Nick betrayed June. He has made everything completely horrible. It's just that.
And he's full Gilead at this point. He's on
Yeah.
the plane being like, welcome to the winner's circle. I'm like, oh God, okay.
It felt like the producers wanted to establish this idea where Lawrence is on the plane because he made the good decision, and Nick is on the plane because they made the bad decision. And they wanted to sort of give us a reflection of those two things. But to me, you set up an awesome idea for the finale earlier on in this episode when Nick is basically told to go after June for the sake of his family, for the sake of Gilead, and at this time where he can really, really break bad. Because I do think there is this question, and I'm sure we'll talk more about this in a preview, just sort of if all these people are gone, who's the final boss now? And it would have just been so much more effective if Nick was still there as the final boss, because this is somebody who has turned full Gilead, as you said, but also somebody June had such a personal history with. So that is, once again, I'm going Star Wars here. This is the full Anakin, Obi-Wan, you were the chosen one moment that we could have had, and we don't have it now because it feels like Nick's death is just going to get completely overshadowed by Lawrence's.
Absolutely.
And it should. It should, because Lawrence's was a much more effective death.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Nick just showed up at the last second. It was like, good boy, son. Welcome to the plane. Welcome to the winner's circle. Cool.
Yep.
Let's go. I was like, that's it. We've spent so many seasons, some of us rooting for Nick and June, some of us not rooting for Nick and June, whatever you feel for Nick and June. This whole last few episodes where they just turned this Nick character out, way out, that he just goes full Gilead. He's betrayed June. He's just had all these women that have all been just shot at Jezebels, and he's just full Gilead. I was like, oh my goodness. We've been on such a journey with him, and I'm not here being like, oh, he's always been a bad guy. He's always been a good guy. I was never necessarily team Nick and June, but they were the couple that I was rooting for because there was more chemistry there with them. But the past few episodes just completely turned him out in a way that I didn't expect, just pure bad. I was just like, wow. I wonder what it was like for him to sit down and read that script and just be like, oh, so this is happening. I'm becoming Darth Vader. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, it's I know it can be fun sometimes to play the bad guy, but that fast. By the way,
It was fast.
I was in theater in middle school. I always got to play the bad guy. I don't know why. I always got cast as the villain, and I was okay with that. But it was fast. And now that we've seen the demise of Nick, I wish that
Or
they.
not seen it off
All
screen.
right,
You
all
guys are gonna
right.
kill Nick off screen? Really? All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I know. And, for everybody out there, I hope there's nobody out there being like, oh, maybe Nick is still alive. There is no way you can have somebody go out in that way in the air and then magically they're going to wake up again on the ground. Unless, a lot of people have on like those Kevlar vests and stuff in crime shows. Does somebody have a suit of armor that they're wearing? Because maybe that can do it, but it's just like, there's no way. They are all gone.
No, they absolutely are. If they didn't die up in the air, they landed and it was over. There's just no way.
Yeah, I just feel like.
Nobody's parachuting out of this plane. We're not going to see Nick in the next episode. That's it.
No, I just feel like there was just such a wasted opportunity here to have these two really go face to face in a way that was incredibly compelling and interesting. And it's just, okay, that's taken off the board at this point because, we wanted that moment of seeing a lot of commanders taken down. And trust me, I'm glad that they're all gone. But it's sort of, I didn't want it like that.
It just felt like they didn't really know what to do with Nick after, there was this betrayal and this, let's go to Paris. Oh, he's betrayed me. And then it was like, well, now we don't know what to do with Nick anymore because
Yeah.
Nick is not going to be with June again. June has grieved the loss of this relationship. It's over. He's full Gilead now. Okay. Like he's just been kind of a background player since then. We saw him at the wedding. He's eating some cake. Like it's not really anything.
Okay, so if these people are gone, like who is the last big band standing? I mean, is it Serena at this point? Well, I mean, let's have the conversation here that, yeah, it seems like she has flipped and she told June about Washington, D.C., and she really set everything in motion for this to happen. And on one level, we can be like, okay, this is time. Serena is now fully turning over a new leaf. She's going to be helpful. She's going to be useful. But here's the thing. I still don't trust her. I am still, even at this point, worried that while she might have done some things for her self-preservation and she's running around calling June a friend, they have gone through so much together that if June does something still that Serena thinks is not in her best interest, I could still see Serena trying to take out June.
Yeah, Serena's motives are always about Serena. Even giving up the commanders was for Serena. The moment that June was kind of like, do you want this man to raise your son? No, I don't want that for me. Okay, here's where they are. And this is how I get out of this marriage. It really isn't about ever really doing the right thing for Serena, which is why Serena has always been so frustrating for me. Like it's never really about the right thing.
Yeah, we could still be in a situation here where in the aftermath of everything that happens with the plane, Gilead needs some sort of representative and Serena's going to find a way to sneak off and take this over and be like, this is my time to shine now. All these people are gone. I can really enforce because I still feel like she is that delusional.
She is delusional because, I mean, this is still just a small group of commanders. Gilead is still much bigger than just the commanders that got killed on the plane, as well as the ones after the wedding. It was like 37 of them, plus everybody on the plane who were on their way to see the High Council. So there are still people even higher than them that are running Gilead. This is not over. It's not close to over. The rebels have gotten some wins, but this isn't actually stopping anything, which is what the real bigger issue is. It's too big.
Yeah, this is something that's going to take a lot of time. And that's why it's hard to sit here and be like, okay, the series finale, maybe it wraps up these character stories, but it doesn't wrap up the story of this place. It's like there's just still so much more to be told.
Well, the biggest thing that I'm feeling like kind of like empty about is where is Hannah and that story? Like, I'm not really understanding this. Like, June's motivation is, of course, to help liberate everybody and, stop Gilead. But her main motivation has been to rescue her daughter, whether her daughter remembers who she is or not. She wants her daughter to have freedom. And it feels like that plot is just kind of lost this season. Like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
There's one episode left and she's not looking for Hannah at all.
I hope that becomes a part of this final episode because I hope that for Janine, like the story becomes about Charlotte in some way because we know how much she wants her daughter and to have that reunion happen. So there are just these still personal stories that still have to be wrapped up. But the complicated thing is we're having to tell these stories amidst what is now an infinitely bigger story about this conflict that's shaping this entire country. And we have America involved here. Okay, it is time to talk about, dare I say, my guy, Mark Twello here. Because Mark,
Mhm.
forget the fact that I hated on you all of last season and you said you weren't really doing anything and I didn't like whatever was going on with you and Serena. Okay, let's just forget all of that ever happened. You did the thing, Mark. This season, finally, you've barely been on it, but America actually comes up, steps up, has some sort of role. As it turns out,
Mhm.
Aunt Janet, whose name is also not Aunt Phoebe, whose name is actually apparently
Aunt Ava or
and
Eva or something. Listen, she's Aunt Janet to all of us out there who love the good place.
she is now also like special agent Aunt Janet to go.
Yep.
How many twists can you have a single character doing over the course of an episode? But it was fulfilling at least to see, all right, everybody is being bold at that
Yes.
point. And that's something that this show has lacked here or there. Or maybe it's just a situation where we haven't been privy to a lot of it because we've been so like intensely focused on just a few characters.
I feel like now that the show has basically taken out all the big bads that we know about, that we have been
Yeah.
following. Yes, Gilead's still strong. Yes, there's still lots of commanders. Yes, there's the High Council. There's all of that going on. This last episode, I feel like, has got to be focused on Hannah in some way, shape, or another. Like, there has to be some kind of conclusion to this, whether it's she doesn't want to come, they can't get to her and they have to move on, or she there has to be something. It can't just be like Hannah's not even a whisper in this final episode.
Yeah, I think she needs to have a pretty big role. I think no matter what, we can say now pretty definitively that the legacy of people like June, like Commander Lawrence, like that's the stuff that's really going to live on. Once again, we don't
Mhm.
know anything about the testaments, no spoilers please, but it feels like now we have a little bit of a framework for what some of that could look like because of some of the real big choices that were made here. And yeah, I don't like a lot of the structure that was around some of them. I don't like that June didn't even put on a disguise before going into the hangar.
So
Like,
weird.
I don't like some just ideas that were brought up here that could have been a lot stronger because it just felt like it was rushed because of this interest in giving us a happy ending, which of course we all want at the end of this show, but it still has to be the right happy ending.
Yeah, there was a happy ending, but this just like for this episode, but it none of it felt satisfying. Like, and I was hoping that it would feel as satisfying as the last episode felt, which felt so satisfying. That episode was a 10 out of 10 for me. I came out of this being like, I feel like nothing really happened. And all the stuff that did happen kind of just happened off screen. I'm looking at June's face for 5 minutes.
I think it almost is sort of the equivalent of we went through this therapeutic experience in episode 8 and we
Hmm.
came out of it feeling like we had this real sense of catharsis and healing
Yes.
and that
Yes.
things are starting to get better. But this time around, it felt like we went and had a double cheeseburger, which felt really, really good in the moment. But then afterwards, we just kind of feel like, ugh, I don't know about this. Was this really the best thing that made me feel good?
I feel like I was promised a cheeseburger and I showed up to an empty plate. That's what I
Oh,
feel like.
see, I'm saying this because I had a cheeseburger earlier, and I've just been feeling kind of ever since. And I'm just like, why did I have that? But that is where we are, though, coming out of The Handmaid's Tale, season 6, episode 9. I mean, fingers crossed. There's still another episode. There's still an opportunity to really stick the landing here and
And
not.
they will. They will.
I
Listen, I know that I was really hard on this episode and I stand by what I said.
Yeah,
Episode 8 was excellent and I stand by what I said on that. I feel like they are going to land the plane. Guys, don't lose hope on this. I know
yeah,
that it's been really divided. We've seen it in the comments.
yes,
Some people are really enjoying this season, but there's a lot of people that feel that this whole season is too slow.
yeah.
Nothing's happening. It was too long of a wait for not enough payoff. Guys, they are going to not let us down. I believe they are going to give us a satisfying ending. I really believe it.
I believe it too. I am still hopeful after seeing everything the cast has said over the course of the past several weeks. I feel like we're going to get there, and it's just like some of the results in this episode were good. It's just the way in which we got to them. We sort of can sit back and it's okay to have issues with some of that. But that is where we are here. Be sure to let us know in the comments, of course. What did you think about this episode? What worked for you?
Mhm.
What didn't work for you? What do you want to see in the finale? And also, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button because we are diving into Nine Perfect Strangers this week. It's a really, really exciting show. We hope you check that out. And to support us further by joining our Patreon, that link is in the description. We're covering there exclusively in video form. Criminal Minds, Evolution,
Mhm.
Murderbot. Thank you so much. We will see you here next time.